Welcome back to Getting to Know. I am Mike Jeffries, and I'm here now with new star here in Barrie Wrestling, Wanda Delrey. Wanda, thank you so much for joining me today.
For sure. Happy to be here.
And where are you from, and how long have you been wrestling?
I'm from Toronto, Ontario, and I've been wrestling since like 2020, so about 5 years. Feels like way shorter, and like even that amount of time, like 5 years, is like pretty new in the wrestling space. So still pretty green, but yeah, having fun.
So you started during COVID?
Yes. So it was like a stop kind of thing, you know, because there was like opening and closing of what you could do. But it definitely kept me sane, like during that time, because I was like, oh yeah, okay, great, things are opening up next week. I'm gonna go like in the ring, like immediately. I knew that, and it was just helped so much.
So when was your first match? Because there wouldn't have been any matches in 2020, I don't think.
I did a couple of matches in front of nobody. Oh. Yeah, it was like a closed set kind of thing in the school where I was training, and that was weird. I think I learned a lot doing things like that, but you definitely have to be in front of a crowd.
And where did you train?
I started training at Super Kicked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Barrie Wrestling?
What brought me to Barrie Wrestling? I've been to Barrie like a few times since I started like, you know, learning the ropes and figuring out what was out there in Ontario. Like I heard the show was amazing. So I'm like, well, of course I'm going to go check it out and help out.
Thank you.
And I was just in love with what I saw here, and I would come as often as I could. And then I got a match, you know, one day, and I think the crowd really liked me and they responded to me, and so good so far. I've been here.
So your first match was a title match with Shiloh.
Yes.
And what were your first impressions of Barrie Wrestling, like once you were in the ring compared to being on the outside?
My first impressions were, honestly, just my first impression, truthfully, was it's a really great ring. I was like, I like this ring. It's really solid. It's really good. And the crowd was just super attentive and, really got behind me and really wanted to see Shiloh lose very badly.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, very much so.
Like they definitely invest, right? In, you know, the shows and the stories that are being told, which is just wonderful. And yeah, so there's just so much that you can do here. And I really value that.
It's something I've said about Barrie Wrestling before is like, we're not a show that flies in a lot of talent and things like that.
Right. Because
our people would rather see, you know, Kyle Boone and Van Landen than a couple of guys off of TV or whatever. Like they're very invested in the characters here, which makes it a lot of fun for you guys, I assume, to have that crowd that's so loyal. Outside of here, though, I mean, here you've worked with Alexia Nicole, so you've also had matches with Jody Threat.
Yeah.
So as somebody who's still so new to the business, you know, working with these women who have been, you know, the stalwarts of Ontario indie wrestling for years, like what is that like, and like what have you been able to learn from, you know, Jody, Alexia, or some of these others that you've worked with?
Yes. There's like a saying in wrestling, like the only way to get better is to work with people that are better than you. And people who have been doing it longer, who just, you know their stuff. And every time I do work with like an Alexia or a Jody or like a Zoe Sager, I learn so much. Like it's so... it's like transformative. I can't tell you like exactly what it is because it's like very specific things, like depending on what the match was and how things went. But like you can just feel the difference in the ring of like somebody who is really like controlling the audience and like in control of themselves and what they want in that moment. I think like an example, like if something goes wrong and you're in there with somebody who's very good, they can like not only like hide that, but they can make something out of it, right? Like if you slip and fall off the top rope or something, like they can just pivot in that moment and do something else and make it like a moment instead of a mess up.
Well, and it's funny because I was going to ask you about this. It's a good segue. So there's a moment in that match with Shiloh where you almost run over Ref Abby.
Yeah.
And you blow her a kiss and then go into your move.
Yeah.
And it was such a natural, because one of the things, so my wife is not a wrestling fan, but she's a music theater person. She watches matches with me, and she's like, you can sometimes see people thinking too much, right? And it's in dance too, like when they're thinking about spots, they're not just feeling the moment.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you were just Wanda Delrey, blow a kiss and go into your move. Like there was no break in that. So have you always just kind of naturally been able to roll with the punches, no pun intended? Or was that something you had to work on to kind of, that happened, but I'm just still in this character?
Right. Yeah, it's something everybody has to work on for sure. Like it's something that I did as well. For me, I had to probably work on it more than most, I'd say. Like a lot of things did not come naturally to me.
Okay.
When it came to like training and wrestling. But I just always had like that kind of perseverance, and like you get it eventually, you know? Yeah.
Interesting. And then I also want to ask you about, intergender wrestling, which is always a hot topic.
Right.
And I mean, there's only so many women on the indies, especially in Ontario.
Yeah.
So you often end up in these types of matchups. And I know for us in Barrie Wrestling, like it was Jody Threat was the one who broke that barrier for us because, and I've talked to Alexia about this as well, like when it's done well, it's just a wrestling match.
Yeah.
But if it's not done well, it can be really bad.
It can be very bad.
And so do you feel any added pressure? Like tonight you're wrestling with Stratosphere, who is giant tattooed human being and very, very, very terrifying.
Yeah.
I only ever say nice things about you, Stratos, I promise. But like, do you feel added pressure going to matches like that? Was it something that, like when you were going through training, were there a lot of women in your training class, or was it mostly with the guys you were training? And is it just a different feeling going into that kind of match?
Yeah. It was just like me and one other woman in like my wrestling school when I started, and I'm at a different school now, and it's kind of like the exact same thing. It's just I'm the only girl, so that's like very common, and that definitely creates like it's just different because like when you're training and doing practice matches, in your school, you don't necessarily like think of the intergender thing. You're kind of just like, let's have a great match, let's try this, let's try that. So you have to remember to apply the intergender like understanding when you're in front of a crowd. And yeah, there's like, I wouldn't say like, for me, the issue isn't like you can do it badly and then it's like a really bad situation. I just think it can be really boring. Like there's like the intergender match, kind of like that I've seen over and over and over again. And I just don't like having that one. I think there's other ways to do it, but you have to keep within certain like boundaries and things like that. But I like it. I mean, it's like a fun like challenge, like anything. Anytime you wrestle anybody, it's a unique experience, right? So intergender is just like one more layer on top of that for me.
And I will say, like here at least, to put Barrie Wrestling over a bit, you were in the 4-way match with Stratos and Joey and Luke Caden, I believe, was the fourth in that match. And like when you and Joey were squaring off in the ring, like it just felt like two wrestlers squaring off. And same thing, we had Shiloh and Clay Wilson, and it didn't feel like a man and a woman. It was two wrestlers wrestling. And if you're one of those people who's like, oh, it's not believable, like the Irish whip is not believable. If you throw somebody into the ropes, they don't bounce off. The ropes they hurt.
They do hurt.
And yeah, don't give me that, miss me with that, it's not believable stuff. We're telling a story, and yeah, sorry, a little bit of a side rant there, because I know there are some people, one guy who used to be on the Ontario Indies who is very opposed to intergender wrestling, and it's wrestling. Yeah. But no, I get what you're saying. When you're training, it's just headlock takeover drill as a headlock takeover drill. Yeah. In a match in front of a crowd, there's always that other aspect to it. And 2025 for you, so you're kind of coming in your own a bit. What is a goal for you before the end of this year that you would like to see?
I just think be ready for opportunities, like as they come up. There's a lot that's happening in wrestling all the time, and new opportunities are there. And if there's like a spot on like a big show or an opportunity to do, work on TV, like you have to be ready, right? Yeah. Which means like you have to be on your A game, you have to be traveling and doing shows so that your name is on people's minds when there's an opportunity and they say, let's put Wanda in there, right? Like I don't like to set like very specific goals just because there's so much in wrestling that's like you have to be at the right place at the right time, and you have to be ready for that opportunity.
Perhaps a European tour?
European tour. It is on my list to go international. Like, I do want to do that this year. Like, I was thinking like maybe Mexico, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I could see. Yeah, I think you would.
Yeah.
I could see that working with your style, because you have a very athletic style in the ring, and I could see that working. You're very lanky, which I think plays well. Flying here, I think the lankiness plays well, especially with the women in our locker room, because Alexia and you've got size advantage on both of them. I'd like to see you work a match with Nova. I don't think we've had that yet. I think that would be.
Not at Barrie, no.
No, have you guys worked elsewhere?
Yes.
I feel like that'd be a good clash as well.
Yeah, we have good chemistry. Yeah.
All right. Well, last question for you. Where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at Wanda_wrestling. Primarily there, but I'm also like on TikTok under the same name. And yeah, feel free to follow. And I love it when fans just reach out and say stuff like, "Hey, I'm going to be at the Barrie show. I'm so excited to like see your match." It's just like it gets me more excited too. That's
awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure watching you, and I think you're only 4 or 5 matches into your career here in Barrie Wrestling, and I hope you have many, many more. And good luck tonight against Stratos.
Thank you.
So this has been Getting to Know. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with more soon.